Now on my channel I focus on mobile photography, and yes, amazing hardware like your Ultras and Pros will certainly help. But the truth is, you don't really need all of that to capture some amazing results. Enter the Vivo X300, a phone that I think offers one of the most balanced experience when it comes to the camera setup for the size that you're getting. It starts with a main sensor featuring a 1/1.4 inch sensor size and yes, a 200 megapixel resolution, where I would prefer a 50 megapixel resolution. Then there's the telephoto with a generous 1/1.95 inch sensor size, paired with that 50 megapixel resolution that I prefer. Not to mention, you also get great macro capabilities. And finally, the sacrifice that we have to talk about, because of course when it comes to a phone with this kind of size, there has to be one, and that is the ultrawide. It makes the most sense to have this as a sacrifice, but still it comes with a respectable 1/2.76 inch sensor size. Nothing crazy, but nothing that is terrible by any means. Now sure, on paper this isn't directly competing with your Ultras and Pros that they have to offer as well, but make no mistake, the Vivo X300 is no slouch. Let me show you exactly why. So, the Vivo X300. Last year, I was kindly invited by Vivo to Shanghai to take a look at it alongside the Pro model. But it's been a while now, so let's have a quick refresher and let's look at some basic specifications. Naturally, the term compact has changed over the years. Compared to phones of yesteryear, this isn't really small. But by today's standard, a 6.31 inch display is definitely what I would call compact compared to the bigger ones. The display itself is also excellent, reaching a peak brightness of 4500 nits, and then the CPU is the MediaTek Dimensity 9500, a chipset that in my experience doesn't heat up quite as much as modern Snapdragon counterparts, while still delivering great performance. Storage options range from 256GB all the way up to 1TB, and for RAM it starts at 12GB all the way up to 16GB. For the global market, it comes with a 6040 mAh battery, which is my version, alongside 90W wired charging and 40W wireless charging. You also get, of course, naturally the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner and really all the modern features you expect. So in short, this is a phone with solid performance, a great display and on paper a really well-rounded package. But of course, specs only tell a part of the story. But naturally, the question is, how has it been for me using this for quite a while now? Over the months, I've been using this phone and I've been traveling with it, taking it to all kinds of destinations, from Shanghai to Estretat in France, to Cologne in Germany, to Ghent in Belgium, and naturally my most recent trip to Oberstdorf. Now, each destination gave me something different to photograph, different lighting, different subjects and different styles. And that meant that I had a really good chance to see how this camera holds up across all those different scenarios. And yes, for those who are wondering, I will be comparing it to the Ultra to show exactly what you were missing out compared to the Ultra. But what I really like about the X300 is the photography experience itself, and especially some new features that we get with it. Going from the styles, the freedom to experience, and especially wall lighting. It gives you the option to produce images that are far less processed. Yes, the dynamic range suffers a little bit when it comes to it, but for me, having perfect dynamic range can sometimes ruin a shot, especially with the depth of the shot itself. There's also another benefit. It doesn't aggressively oversharpen images, especially when I turn that sharpness all the way down. That is something that every phone should have. Now, sure, this phone isn't perfect. For photography, I think sometimes it can lean too much towards saturation in my own taste, and sometimes, yes, images can still look a little bit too processed, although I do have some control over that. Portraits can still have a bit of that smoothing effect on the skin itself, but at the same time, it isn't afraid to introduce some contrast and deep shadows. And because of it, portraits can have a little bit more character because of it. At the end, when it comes to my channel, I like to look back at several devices to showcase the performance in long term, especially when prices are dropping of phones, to showcase what the capabilities are. And the Vivo X300 is one of those, especially because it stands out so much for me when it comes to more compact phones with great camera capabilities and a pretty solid battery life next to it. I think that the Vivo X300 is a really solid phone for a lot of people. Of course, you do also have options like the Xiaomi 17 that I think is excellent as well, especially with the battery life being a lot better compared to what we are used to from Xiaomi. But when it comes to the Vivo X300, this is probably one of my favorite phones of 2026, and this is one of those phones that I can easily recommend for a lot of people. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and naturally before we leave, I really want to thank my members. Thank you so much for your support, I really appreciate it, so thank you so much. Of course, if you want to become a member, you can by clicking join below, and members will get access to WAV files for personal use. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and everything, and talk to you guys in the next.